Your goddess has no dominion here.
I'm ready!
Let's go!
I need this job. I can't lose it. I do not want to go back.
All I'm asking, baby.
Oh yeah, you know it's a big weekend when we're covering not one, not two, but 3 big holiday releases. Welcome to Talking About the Movies as we continue the celebration of 20 years of me covering the biggest new releases of the weekend, and there's no bigger weekend than this weekend because we got 3 massive blockbuster releases coming your way for the holiday season. We're going to take a look at the new Avatar movie, we're going to take a look at the new Spongebob movie, and we're going to take a look at the new film from Paul Feig, The Housemaid. So without further ado, we have a lot of films to get to here. Let's just get right to it. And, boy, we are starting off on maybe not the best note ever. But, let's talk about our first film, Avatar, Fire and Ash. So, let's go back in time, shall we? Once upon a time, about 16 years ago, James Cameron, after 12 years away from his last big epic adventure, with epic blockbuster with Titanic, comes back with Avatar, a movie that was promising groundbreaking visual effects. And, it was a movie that was being sold as this next great thing, and it did eventually go on to become the highest-grossing film for at least 6 years until Star Wars The Force Awakens took that away, and then after that, Avengers Endgame took that away. But, the movie was a gigantic success, despite the fact that the movie didn't have the best story in general. In fact, it had a story that was very similar to a lot of movies from the past, like Dances with Wolves, Fern Gully, most people called it Smurfs with Wolves, that type of thing. South Park had a great parody of it. But, it was a massive hit, and, there was a lot of people who were wondering what the legacy of this movie was going to be after it came out. And honestly, once it came out, it kind of didn't have the legacy that people expected it to. I mean, because they kept promising these sequels were going to come. They announced the sequels well early after the success of the film, and they were going to do these movies. Like, the first one was supposed to come out in 2012, and the second one was coming out in 2015. But then time took over, and they were trying to do these things that were unheard of before with these new types of cameras and all that type of stuff, which led to significant delays and all that. It was just getting to a point when you were just looking at this whole thing and going like, this is basically turning into the Duke Nukem Forever of movies, because they keep promising this movie is coming, they keep promising these sequels are coming, and then it never happens, and when it finally does, it turns out to be not as good. Well, it only took 13 years later and Fox to be acquired by Disney to finally get Avatar: The Way of Water, which was definitely a been-there-done-that sequel before, but we all bought into it because, hey, a sequel, the visuals are still pretty good. It had been 13 years since the last movie. I mean, the most notable thing to come out of this movie since then was the Pandora attraction over in Animal Kingdom, that section over there, which is one of the reasons you should really go to that park anyway, because other than that, though, there's not really a whole lot there at Animal Kingdom to begin with. But, we let it slide because, it's been 13 years. This was essentially, it's been, essentially we're supposed to get back, we're trying to get back on track with this, trying to get people excited for the future overall. The biggest problem with The Way of Water was that it was doing a lot of the same stuff that it did in the first movie. It just had a moral that was pretty much the same moral as the last movie. It's just like, with a sequel, especially with one like this, you do need to go bigger. You do need to expand the story a little bit here and not just do the same thing over again. And so we all let it slide for Avatar: The Way of Water because, this is the movie that this is the first of 5 movies. These are just 2 of 5 films that we've got coming. And, we're going to head into the 3rd film. Okay, 3rd film is coming. We've now had time to establish this world. They've done what they needed to do with the last 2 movies, and now we can go on ahead and just go ahead and make a movie that expands on the world of Pandora, makes a bigger story. We don't have to do the same thing over and over again. And surely, with all the time that James Cameron had to put this movie together, you would think that he would do just that. Give us a movie that expands this world and, doesn't do the same thing over again, and just gives us a movie that we want to see more of, like something different from the first 2 movies. And surely a guy like James Cameron, who's been more than reliable ever since his days with Terminator, can do that with a movie like this. And oh my mother of God, what the fuck was that? Avatar Fire and Ash, more like Avatar Fire and Ass. Easiest joke I can make about this movie, but I'm sorry to tell you this, people, but James Cameron has completely lost it with this movie. This movie fucking sucked. And really, it's not hard to see why. The biggest problem with this movie right from the get-go, it's the same movie we've seen done over and over and over again. And, you know, we expect more from James Cameron. James Cameron is one of our great directors, but this is the type of movie that makes you think that he's becoming the next Ridley Scott, because he keeps making the same films over and over again. He's not being creative with it, and it's just not fun. There's no fun factor of this, and you don't really get invested in these characters whatsoever when you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. The story of this movie is that you have Jake and Neytiri's family grappling with grief after Neytumaunt's death, encountering a new aggressive Na'vi tribe, the Ash People, who are led by the fiery Varang as the conflict on Pandora escalates and a new moral focus emerges. It's not. It's not a new moral focus. It's the same. You want to know what the moral of the story is? Humans are bad. There, I just gave you that because it's the same story as the last two movies. Nature's good, humans are evil. Okay, that's the story that we're going with here. It's the same story over and over again, and it's just like, it just will not stop. They literally, this movie pushes it way too far. This is a movie that's over 3 hours long, and you're just sitting there just going like, I don't care how good these visuals are, please end my suffering already. Because yes, the visuals are great. Don't get me wrong. The visuals are great, but what do we always say here? Visuals don't make the fucking movie. And this is a prime example of where that point is getting so ridiculous here. And I'm sorry, it doesn't work because we've seen this story done before way too many times. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of these scenes that are supposed to look incredible and supposed to look amazing, and there's nothing of value coming from them. I'm getting sick and tired of watching the General coming back in here. I'm getting sick and tired of watching Stephen Lang returning once again to be kind of like the second, to be like a secondary villain in this. The coolest thing about the cool thing I'll give this movie credit for is the addition of Una Chaplin as Varang. Like, when she's on screen, the movie's just like, okay, I can see where they're coming from here, and I'm just loving the hell out of this because she's eating the scenery, she's just enjoying every single moment she's in this, and it just works with her in it. But then when she has to team up with Stephen Lang, like, granted, yes, they're fun scenes overall, but anytime Stephen Lang is in this movie, and the fact that he's still back in here, and it's still the army, this army still coming after him, it's just like, can we please just stop with this already? I'm getting sick and tired of watching this over and over again. And good lord, they make the character of Spider the most obnoxious character ever. In the last movie, we let it slide. I let it slide because he was actually a fun character to watch in that movie. But no, once again, they take it to a whole nother level. And I swear, take a drink every time you hear somebody go, "Hey, bro," in this movie. It's just like, oh my god, like, this isn't a real script this is written for. This literally, I know this is becoming a trope overall, but I'm sorry. This is another one of those scripts that I have to say feels like it was written by ChatGPT or AI, because you cannot tell me that this movie had a thought process, had the mindset of somebody who was actually looking at this and going like, maybe we can do something like this. No, it's just, no, this feels like a script that says, just do everything that we've done before, except take the water part out of it, add fire and ash, add fire into it, and boom, we've got a script for a third film. This isn't fun anymore. The worst part about this is that this is written by two good writers, Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver. They wrote the Planet of the Apes movies. Those were great movies, the recent reboot series. Like, and it pains me to say this about James Cameron. I like James Cameron. I think we all like James Cameron, but after a certain point, with this film, he's just pushing his luck with how much he could get people into the seats here, and people are going to be suckered into this because of the visuals. I don't care about the story of these people. I don't care about these. I don't care about what's going on with these characters, because you're not adding anything new that we haven't seen in the other movies. A series like this has to evolve the story as time goes on. They're making this movie with the intention of repeating the same story over and over again, but it's okay because we're going to keep giving you visuals that you have never seen before, and I'm sorry, I just can't take it anymore. I cannot stand it with these movies. Like, that was my fear going into this movie. That was just going to be the same thing over and over again, and man, was I completely right on that one here. This is a train wreck of a movie. This is the worst thing James Cameron has ever been involved in as a director. I could not believe how bad this was. I wasn't going into it with the highest of expectations, but my expectations were much higher than this. Like, you know, I'm like Dewey from Malcolm in the Middle. I expect nothing, and I'm still let down. Because I am let down. I expect a whole lot more from a man who's made so many classic movies in his career. And this is the one he decides to go autopilot on? Really? This movie that he's spent the last 20 years developing. And there's still 2 more movies after this. What are the next 2 movies going to be after this? Like, the only way this whole thing comes together in the end, it actually works, if this actually turns out to be a live-action Avatar The Last Airbender movie directed by James Cameron. If that's what this is all going to lead up to, then I'd be more than willing to go with it, man. But no, it's not looking like it's going to go down that pathway. I mean, it just really does not. And it frustrates me. It frustrates me because you have to sit there for over 3.5 hours for nothing that you haven't seen done before. And I know a lot of people are going to be suckered into it. I know a lot of families are going to go see it for the holiday season. But I'm sorry. There's much better stuff out there to take the kids to than this boring tripe of a movie. This is, without a doubt, one of the worst movies I've seen this year. And easily the worst thing James Cameron has ever done as a director. This movie is just painful to watch. Like, it's amazing how bad this movie is, because I thought I had my worst of the year list locked down. I didn't think anything was going to really come up there and try to top it, but lo and behold, this movie certainly did. This and Oh, What Fun. And yeah, those are films that will definitely be in my worst of the year list for sure. This one in particular, I'm amazed at how bad this movie was. This is a colossal failure on so many levels. Yes, it's got great visuals, but I'm sorry, like I said, they don't make a good movie. So yeah, needless to say, Avatar, Fire and Ash, more like Avatar, Fire and Ass. Thumbs down. Thumbs down. So yeah, not a good way to start the show. But I promise you we do get better. We'll take a break. We'll come back and talk about the Spongebob movie, Search for Squarepants. After this, a preview of some of the movies now available on Blu-ray. And welcome back, everybody. Let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is certainly a much better movie than Avatar, Fire and Ash. And if you really want to think about it, this is a better water epic than Avatar, Fire and Ash is. The SpongeBob movie, Search for Squarepants. The 4th film officially in the SpongeBob series, not including the spin-off movies. But this is the 4th installment of the series in which you have SpongeBob on a quest to prove his bravery by adventuring with the ghost pirate, the Flying Dutchman, who's voiced here by Mark Hamill, through the underworld. You also have a cast that also includes notable voice actors like not even notable voice actors, but people like George Lopez is in here, Ice Spice, Regina Hall, Arturo Castro. Now, this is directed by Derek Dryman, who's been with the show from the very beginning, but notably, this is written by the same people who wrote also one of the year's worst movies, Smurfs, Pam Brady and Matt Lieberman. And let me tell you something, after watching Smurfs earlier in the year and watching this, I can honestly tell you, Smurfs was a movie heavily interfered with by the studio, because that same team that made that movie, one of the worst movies of the year, made this film one of the best movies of the year. This really is an outstanding movie, man. I really was shocked at how much I enjoyed this movie. And I've liked most of all the SpongeBob movies in general, except the one I really didn't like was the Sandy Cheeks one that was on Netflix. But I liked the Plankton one. I liked the Sponge Out of Water. I liked the Sponge on the Run that came out on it came out during COVID time. But I like those movies in general. I think this is the best one I've seen since the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, the first one, which I went to see 5 times in the theater when I was a huge SpongeBob fan back then. I still am, but as a kid, I loved this show growing up. And I haven't caught up with the newer episodes, even though I've seen a couple of snippets of them. Some of them are pretty cool. There was a great little short that came out earlier in the year, done in stop motion, which felt a lot like the Daffy Duck and Wacky Land short that came out the year before. And I think it was made by the same people, too, but yeah, this movie definitely has an animation style similar to the most recent Netflix spin-off films, like the Plankton movie in particular, but this one works better because the writing is fresh. You could tell that this film was made by people who know the show in general. This is a movie that would make Steven Hillenburg proud. I mean, this is a film that takes SpongeBob back to its roots. It has a lot of funny moments in it, a lot of good comedy, a lot of good heartfelt moments, too. Like, I did not expect Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob to have such a good heartfelt storyline here, because Mr. Krabs always cares about money, but what they do here with him and SpongeBob, I thought that was incredibly well done. The Flying Dutchman was pretty good too. I remember when everyone went crazy when they said, "Oh, how dare you don't get Brian Doyle Murray back for the Flying Dutchman and bring in a celebrity like Mark Hamill." First of all, yeah, Mark Hamill is a celebrity, but do people not forget that he's a voice actor too? I mean, this is the guy that was the Joker. I mean, this is the guy that's on regular show. Who is he on regular show now? Not Pops, but Skips on regular show. Like, he's done a lot of voice work over the years. So yeah, he's a celebrity, but he's also a voice actor too. And he made it work very well. I mean, yeah, it's hard to get used to at first, but it works. I thought he did a good job as the Flying Dutchman here. I thought the voice casting overall was pretty solid here. I like the mix between a little bit of live action and animation that worked in the Sponge on the Run movie that was brought into here as well. I mean, it's a really fun film. It's a movie where you go into it knowing, like, if you're a big SpongeBob fan, you're going to love the hell out of this movie because it's exactly what you expect it to be like. And it really is a funny, well put together film overall that just works on so many levels, with a great short for the Ninja Turtles that comes before, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle short, as Chrome Alone 2 it's not Lost in New York, it's something like that. Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey, and this is a short that has the turtles. They go into town for Christmas, and they find out that there's this company that's making all these toys off of their newfound fame, and they find out it's AI, and it's a fun little and there's a fun little smack at AI in this movie, which I think is very funny, since it seems like most of these movie studios are going straight forward AI, but here you have a short that basically says, "Fuck that shit, man." But it works. It's a really funny short that keeps very much in the spirit of the Ninja Turtle shorts and also the movie that came out before that, Mutant Mayhem. I mean, this is a really fun package here to see Nickelodeon's two best things at their best overall. A great Ninja Turtle short followed by a really solid SpongeBob movie that comes after that. I mean, this is an overall fun, good time all across the board. And like I said, it's the best SpongeBob movie I've seen since the first one. It's very funny. It's entertaining. If you love these characters, you're going to love the hell out of this movie. It's a terrific film. One of the year's best films. I highly recommend it. Seek it out if you can find it. Seek it out if you can find it. Go see it in theaters. It's definitely worth it. I give it a strong thumbs up. Definitely worth a watch. Seek it out. SpongeBob. Search for Squarepants. So with all that said, we'll take one more break, and when we come back, we take a look at our last film, The Housemaid. But first, a look at movies now playing in theaters. And welcome back, everybody. Let's go ahead and wrap up our show this week by taking a look at the latest film from Paul Feig, The Housemaid. Now, this is the second film of the year following another Simple Favor, which I actually really enjoyed. I actually like it just as much as the original Simple Favor, and that one was one of my favorite movies of 2018. So, this one in particular, this is a psychological thriller based off of a novel by Frida McFadden, and it follows a young woman with a troubled past, played by Sydney Sweeney, who becomes the live-in housemaid for a wealthy family, played by Amanda Seyfried and Brandon Skellner, and their seemingly perfect life unravels when she discovers their household hides dark secrets. And, I've talked about how much I like Sydney Sweeney as an actress, and kind of like with Glenn Powell, too. I felt like their movies have not shown their true talent, have not really used the benefit of the true talents of these actors in general. I mean, last month we had Glenn Powell put out probably his best movie since Top Gun Maverick and The Running Man, and now we have this movie here where I honestly think this is the best thing Sydney Sweeney has ever done in terms of a movie in general here, because, yeah, this movie is pretty friggin' amazing. It's amazing how so over the top and so sleazy and so gritty it is, and all this in a good way too, because you could tell right from the moment this movie begins, this is a movie that is paying a lot of homage to the classic 90s thrillers that were big hits at the time. I'm talking about stuff like Fatal Attraction. I'm talking about stuff like Single White Female, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, those type of movies. It's in this film, and it knows it, and it's enjoying every single moment of it. I mean, this movie is so beautifully handled in so many ways. Like, this is a film that just works in so many ways that a lot of other movies that try to be similar to the films I mentioned before failed in. Like The Roommate, for example, that movie with Leighton Meester and, who else was in it? It was a movie where she was like a kid. It was like a college roommate version of Single White Female, and that movie failed because simply it was just copying the Single White Female formula and wasn't even being clever at it. Same thing with Obsessed, that movie with Beyonce, Idris Elba, and Ali Larter, which was basically just the Gen X version of Fatal Attraction, but failed miserably. If you want to talk about that, The Boy Next Door is an example of a movie like that that doesn't work. Jennifer Lopez being basically stalked by a guy who's like 20 years younger than she is, and you have a bad director in Rob Cohen, first of all, not making that work, and just a bad script overall. Here's an example of a movie that takes those ideas and makes it work to a T, because everybody is game on it. Everyone knows exactly what type of a film they're in, and they just say, we're going to go in and just go gonzo crazy with it. And boy, does it work. Sydney Sweeney is really good in here, but Amanda Seyfried, man, I mean, I've always loved her since Mean Girls. I mean, this is a movie where she just comes back in full swing, and like she gives this unnerving, brilliant performance that just sticks with you all the way after the movie ends and all that. Like, this is a phenomenal film that just works on so many levels. It's Paul Feig doing what he did so well with A Simple Favor, but taking it to 11. This is a fantastic movie. This is a great film. It's a sleaze fest all across the board, and I enjoyed every second of it. I mean, I like these type of movies when they work. I mean, Hand That Rocks the Cradle is not a Single White Female. They're not good movies, but I can't help it, man. They're kind of guilty pleasures overall, because they kind of like with this film in general. They kind of have an idea of, yeah, we know this isn't the smartest stuff we're working with here, but we're gonna just have fun with it overall. And I've given them more credit over the years since then. I mean, if you go back and listen to my old Time About the Movies reviews, I was kind of negative on those movies, but as time has gone on, I've kind of gotten used to them overall for just being sleaze fest that actually kind of work. I mean, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle alone, I think, is a lot. It's just because of that terrible remake that came out earlier in the year. I think because of that, I actually gave that original movie more praise than I did when I first reviewed it for that show. But here it works because the two leads are just so hooked into it. Paul Feig knows exactly what he's doing with a film like this, and it just knows we're not going to be try to be anything smart or clever. We're just going to go in there, have a ton of fun what we're doing here. And if you don't like it, you can go ahead and leave. Or it's literally a check your brain at the door movie, but it's not insulting you like a really bad check your brain at the door movie, like the Michael Bay Transformers sequels, if you will. But it's a weird comparison, but you get the idea. But this is a really fun movie. I had a good time with it. I thought it was going to be a ton of fun just from the casting and the direction of Paul Feig alone. I love what he did with A Simple Favor. I like the fact that he's broadening his range from just, screwball comedies like The Heat or Spy or Ghostbusters and Bridesmaids, and doing stuff like this and A Simple Favor, where it's just like, he's ranging himself, and it works on both levels. It's both kind of a funny comedy and also a serious psychological thriller in a number of ways. This is a good movie, man. I really enjoyed the hell out of it, and especially after the day began poorly with me sitting in a movie theater for 3.5 hours watching Avatar, Fire and Ass, and then following that with Spongebob and then The Housemaid. The day certainly got better for me as it went on. So, yeah, needless to say, big thumbs up on The Housemaid. Really fun film, sleazy fun. Highly recommend it. So, yeah. That's all three of the big new releases we have this week. We have one more new release to look at next week, and then we can start focusing on the best and worst movies of the year, and that is the Anaconda reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it, it looks like garbage, and who knows, maybe that could end up being on the worst of the year list too, considering how every trailer I've seen for it makes it look absolutely horrible and unnerving to watch, but not in a good way too, but you never know, but we'll see what happens. I'll give it a chance. I mean, these guys, Jake Kasdan's a good director. He worked with the Jumanji movies pretty well, and he made Walk Hard, so I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, but my expectations are not very strong coming out from those trailers I saw, so. But, hey, with all that said, let me know your thoughts down below. Tell me what you thought of the new releases this weekend. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out the last episode we did, the best movie-going experiences of me for the last 20 years, as well as our playlist below. And with all that said, I will see you guys next time. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Till then, take care.